Alright, well, good evening, folks. Welcome to round 9 of the North American Grand Prix GT2 Championship. We're back again for another exciting event here at Imola, Autodromo Internazionale di Enzo Ferrari. I think that's how it goes, something like that. However, I should mention I am a little under the weather tonight, and I'm going to do the best I can. Brad is on assignment, however he has joined us via satellite phone to give us his insight into tonight's race and his expert analysis. So Brad, welcome once again. How are things going out where you are?
Yeah, they're going good, Al. I guess we're both on crutches here tonight. I am on assignment, as you say, but I'll be able to check out your pictures, and we'll do the best I can between the two of us. I think we'll be able to get some good pictures tonight anyway from Imola, one of my favorites, Al.
Yeah, it's also one of my favorites as well. Last time we visited here, we're actually running the 2004 layout of Imola. We have run the race-on version, the newer version of this layout where the final chicane is removed. It's almost it's just one long straight pretty much after you exit Ravazza. But yeah, it's going to be exciting. Last time we were here, like I said, was in season 10. It was a race that was won by Rich Roman in the Panos Esperante. That race went 32 laps. And it went the distance. Rich had a fast lap of 49.4. But judging, rules were a little different back then. And judging how the pace is tonight, you see a lot of guys in the 40, well, 3 guys right now in the 48s. And a lot of guys in the low 49s. So it's going to be a bit quicker here tonight, to say the least.
Yeah, and I don't know if Rich Roman is in the field here tonight. Of course, he's coming off that second place there at the Oosterschleiben, where we were at last week, sloshing around in the wet. If he is here tonight, Rich does drive this track very well, but you know what? A lot of these guys do. A real familiar track to most of these guys, and a challenging track they're pretty intimate with, and going to be a great run for these GT2 guys here tonight. Should be some close action.
Speaking of Oosterschleiben, that was quite a hectic race. If any of you guys were tuning in last week, we had wet conditions. Some guys started off on slicks. Obviously, wrong choice. David Pohl, however, the story of that night, he pretty much ran away with it from the drop of the green flag. He drove a almost flawless race and came home with his first victory of the season. So it was a nice job by David Pohl.
Yeah, it was a great job by David. And mentioned Rich Roman. You know, Rich Roman had basically one mistake in that race, cost him about 6 seconds, and that was the final margin of a finish between those two, basically, there last week. So just goes to show how competitive these guys are. One slip early there, that 6 seconds, cost Rich a possibility of a win.
Well, it seemed like a lot of guys made a lot of guys made mistakes, aside from pretty much Rich and David. A lot of veteran guys as well, making quite a few mistakes out there. Chris Moses somehow finished on the podium in third after losing his front clip early on. And you got to give him credit. Ended up to where he did, battling back from that adversity early on in that race.
Yeah, not only losing that front clip early, like you say, but also having a couple other offs as well during the course of the event. So, great drive by Chris for sure, yeah. And well earned that third place.
We're about to go to qualifying. Well, we got a few minutes here. We got Ian Jolicoeur. Ian, do you copy?
Hey, fellas.
Ian, you're looking mighty racy here tonight. 48.4s. Is that race pace, qualifying pace? Give us any hints.
Yeah, that's the full fuel with fresh tires there, so I'm looking to make a half second off of that for qualifying, dip into the 47s, I hope.
Well, that's a tremendous pace you guys are showing up front. What are your expectations here tonight?
I guess that depends on the weather. Chris is looking awfully strong, and he was yesterday in practice as well. So we'll take it from there. My partner Marty's gonna bring up the rear with his penalty weight, but we're looking for a strong finish. We need one this season.
Yeah, indeed, Ian. In fact, I was just taking a look over some of your points here, and I noticed, of course, your schedule can be a little problematic for you, making all the events that you can. But I've noticed of the 4 points postings you've had, a couple of those barely got into the points, which isn't like yourself. Has there been something a little different this season, which maybe is costing you some finishes higher than you'd like?
Well, I guess the practice time, some tracks that I wasn't familiar with, and getting home from work later than you anticipate. Hopping behind the wheel here and giving her hell. It hasn't really worked out for me this season, but we'll turn it around here tonight.
We won't keep you much longer there, Ian. We'll let you go. We don't qualify and start. Good luck tonight, and we're rooting for you.
Thanks, guys. Take it easy.
Yeah, Ian, as you mentioned, Brad, a little disappointment this season. Those guys, Kung Fu Racing, they've won the team championship a couple times in GT2, and just having one of those off seasons, I guess, that can happen to these guys.
Yeah, well, lagging a little bit behind in Ian's teammate's case, Marty Eiran, it has been sometimes literally lagging behind a little bit. But yeah, Ian is, we're used to seeing him post results despite not getting a bunch of practice time in. And as I was kind of going over his season point total, I was a little surprised to see some of those poor showings in these races. But like he says, I think that they will turn it around, and there's no reason why they can't start tonight.
Well, these guys are about to start their hot laps. I should mention Alex White is filling in for Chuck Carter, it looks like, and Alex was looking pretty racy there in practice. So this is going to be his first showing here in GT2. He is going to be carrying some ballast here tonight, but it's good to see him back on track with us here at NAGP.
Yeah, indeed. Welcome back, Alex. Be interesting to see how he gets up and goes here when we get in the heat of the business.
Board with Dave Rowley as he is about to start he started his hot lap. Looks like he's got John Wathen right behind him. Wathen a little too late on the brakes and puts it into the wall. Rowley in that Ford GT, that should be a pretty decent car here, Brad, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, well, again, the Ford will be pretty decent on most tracks, but should be pretty darn good around here. You're right. There aren't big downforce sections. I guess they're in the first sector a bit, but will be very good through the chicane and in that third sector in particular. Should be a very strong performer. Of course, David is pretty quick himself, so good driver behind the wheel also.
So Imola is one of the legendary tracks in all of motor racing here, with some of the most famous corner names going to Aqua Minerale right now. Anybody who's into racing at 94 knows Imola. Into Variante Alta, this chicane here. Is this the type of track where you set the car up primarily for that chicane? It seems like you make or break all any lap times in that particular chicane.
I don't know about anybody else, but I know I do. And what a great section of the track you mentioned. It's just a matter of seeing how much you can get away with and what your personal limits are through there, and trying to get the setup to be as compliant as possible. You know, you can never get it as good as you like, and so you just gotta feel out where you can get the most possible out of it. Great part of the track.
So Rally on provisional pole with a 48.8. Somehow I suspect that's not going to hold up, but it does not. As Mikey Monahan jumps to provisional pole. Mikey actually looking pretty quick here tonight. He's on there with a 48.5. Chris Moses, looks like he might have made a mistake. He's back in 7th there with a 150.
Yeah, well, like he had mentioned, you know, Chris was looking pretty racy there in practice. I know he's looking forward to a great result. I know that he also really likes this track and performs well here almost every time he comes here. So, you know, maybe a little bit extra pressure on him tonight to perform, knowing he's maybe got the horse to win this thing.
On board with Ian Jolacor, we just spoke with him. And one of these guys who's been incredibly quick here in practice. Big slide going into Parentella.
You have to say I was a little surprised too. Oh, yeah, he is. I was a little surprised to see that there weren't more guys into the 48s around here. To tell you the truth, a lot of guys, like I say, a lot of experience around this track, should be pretty quick. So we'll see what these top guys got in the end here.
Be interesting to see how Nick Johnson does here tonight in that Panos. He did lose a bit of weight, but he's still carrying some of that success ballast from previous races. And we'll have to keep an eye on him. We'll check on him in a moment. And with Dicey on the exit, what? Jumps the divisional pole with a 47.8.
Yeah, well, no question.
On to that P2. Go ahead.
Sorry, Al. It is a little hard not having some of the live pictures for myself, but yeah, we know that Chris Moses likely can about knock a second off of that on a good lap here. Oh, David Rowley, I see, is up there.
Yeah, Rowley to provisional pole with a 47, and Mikey Monahan as well. He's up to P2. He's under a tenth off of Rowley's pace. On board with David Pohl, last week's winner at Oshersley. This Audi should be a good track here, good car here as well. Sorry, Matt.
No, indeed, should be very good. And I was going to mention, traffic shouldn't be too much of a problem around here, but if you do get stuck behind some, it's generally pretty costly, as pretty much every one of these corners and sectors are very important for overall lap time.
There, he's going to get out of it. On board with Kurt Chandler. Kurt and the Gumper. He's got one of the Porsches. It's either Tiago or that's Tiago ahead. Kurt going into probably my most favorite corner in all of motor racing here. Aqua Minerale. I just love that. Those two corners.
Yeah, it's a real crowd pleaser. Yeah. I mean, you have to have the right combination of aggressiveness and patience and setup through there. It's a blast to get right. Absolutely.
And you saw what can happen going through Variante Alta. You saw either Greg or Tiago take a little too much curve there, and the car that corner can just throw you right off the track. It's really gonna get it right.
Indeed, and you know the Porsches aren't going to be very happy over that chicane now. The Gumpert, you're right along with Curtis there, or were anyway. It's going to be pretty happy over those bumps. The Porsche not so much, so we'll have to keep an eye on that, see what those Porsches can manage for pace over that thing.
So Kurt with a 47.6, that's a nice time for Curtis. He's currently in P8. Dave Rowley continues to hold on to that provisional pole with a 47.6. Mikey Monahan, let's ride along with him as he starts his hot lap, currently in P2. I should say, Brad, you finished on the podium here back in season 10 when we last raced here. Both you and I in the Mustangs.
Yeah, well, I guess that speaks to superior skill and excellent driving ability.
I finished. I finished 7th. Mikey Monahan finished just ahead of me. So Mikey's very good through this around this circuit.
Yeah, well, like you say, it's a fun track, and we do have a lot of experience here. We've done it quite a bit in the past, maybe not so much in GT2, but certainly in GT1, and not on the schedule this season, but I'm sure we'll see it in the GT1 schedule here in the next season or two.
So Mikey through Variante Alta. Ooh, very good through there. But he's down. Mercedes looks very good through that chicane.
Yeah, Mercedes will do very well. The Pano should do pretty well. As his Viper should do well. Chris Moses will just be okay, but he is also quite good at just making the darn thing work no matter how it's handling through there. Usually finds a way.
So Mikey, not going to improve. He lost a lot of time in that last sector. So Ian, about to start his hot lap. We'll pick him up in a bit. Eiran Parsons now up to 4th. Kind of a disappointing race for him last week. He's carrying some weight tonight for some penalty weight due to a ill-advised rejoin at Oschersleben. Very unlike Eiran. I can't remember the last time he's gotten a penalty, but it happens to the best of them.
Well, Al, I've said it before, I'll say it again. If you never ever take a penalty, you just aren't quite trying quite hard enough. Yeah, it is a bad rejoin by Eiran, but like you say, we all make mistakes from time to time. Eiran, of course, finishing the first car on the lap down last week. Pretty interesting, but he also had some problems and got caught up in some incidents outside of his control as well.
Eiran is down only 5/100ths of a second.
Man.
It's like we had some extra chatter there for a second.
Yeah, I apologize. Not sure what that was all about. But Eiran to P3. Wow. Chris Moses has jumped to pole position. While we were watching Eiran Parsons do his lap, Chris Parsons has jumped to P1 with a 47.6. And he is up big again. He's up 2/10 through Sector 2.
Yeah, he has more in the tank than the time he has posted, that's for sure. So it's all about that chicane, Al. It counts big, not only in the second sector, but counts big in the third sector too. As all speed you carry off that will count towards that third sector. Big corner.
Through the final chicane onto the main straight. And he improves to a 47.4. Great lap by Chris. Oh, meanwhile, Ian Jolacor just set a hot lap of a 47.430. So just 0.1 off Chris Moses' time. Wow. So Ian had that prevailing for half a second.
Yeah. And looking at the timing and scoring there, we saw Mike Monahan there, P5 currently, with Alex White right behind him there in P6.
Alex White in the pit lane. Now we're on board with Nick Johnston on a hot lap. Not sure how much practice Nick had going into tonight's race. He's down about 3/10 going into Sector 2. I believe Nick was out of town. But knowing Nick, I'm sure he'll figure this out really quickly.
I would think so, yeah. Nick, the type of guy, if he doesn't get all the practice he'd like, generally will get a little quicker as the race progresses. Nick did try to make a run at the GT1 race last week, but had an unfortunate mechanical failure, quote-unquote, had a disconnect in that race.
So Nick does not improve, actually falls back to P8 as David Poole jumps up to P7. Dave Canavan back after missing last week. Back in P9. You might have to call Rich back up and see what what's going on with if he can help Dave out and figure that car out here in Imola.
Yeah, well, you know, those Ferraris, one of the cars that's not going to be real happy through that chicane, so it's going to be kind of a fine balance for those guys, particularly later on in the stints as the tires wear those cars could get a little dicey going over that chicane.
Further back, Tiago Canola currently running in P10. Something tells me Tiago's going to be double stinting here tonight.
Well, I had the opportunity to talk with a few drivers, even though I'm on assignment, and apparently the tire wear is not too bad around this place. I think there's a possibility we'll see a few guys take the opportunity to double stint here tonight.
I'm sure Tiago's going to want to, regardless, he's going to want to qualify up as high as he can and stay out of trouble. We have seen him get involved in some unfortunate incidents there when he has started further back in the field. So,
well, no, you're absolutely right, and I mean, hey, that's part of the deal. If you don't put yourself up there, then you have a more likely chance of running into trouble. It's been my experience watching Tiago and this overall strategy he's been running this season. If you see him somewhere 5 to 7 tenths off the pace of the leaders, then you know he's on a double stint strategy.
Well, he's about 5 tenths off in Sector 2 as he heads through Ravazza. What surprises me is that we haven't really seen anybody else attempt the same type of strategy he's employed throughout the season.
You know, it just takes incredible consistency, and that's Tiago's strongest suit. Yeah, he can definitely make speed and be consistent too, but he can be even more consistent, unbelievably so, when he really sets his mind to it to make those tires last. And the Porsche is very good on tires as well, and the combination of the two has just been deadly this season. Though, we'll talk about it here, that points chase has really tightened up. It's something we'll need to discuss, yeah.
On board with Marty Eiran. Marty carrying some penalty weight. He's carrying an extra 40 kilograms here tonight for another bad rejoin. He had his first one was at Goldenport near the start of the season. And second one last week at Oshersleben. He's carrying a little bit extra weight. But
yeah,
Marty's used to carrying weight. He does pretty well here, so he should do okay.
Well, the Aston should be a good performer around here, particularly over the course of a whole stint. Should be pretty good over that chicane and have good speed down the straight as well. So, and I tell you, Marty's going to be much more careful on his rejoins in the future. I'm sure he won't have those same type of problems.
Should mention while we're on board with Marty, as he's 9 tenths off there in Sector 2, Marty is leading the Saturday Champ Car Series that's going to be starting up pretty soon. So if you're interested in running some Champ Cars or GTR2, jump on the forum and let us know you're interested. Get your racing. Time quickly winding down here. We got Marty jumps up to P12. You got about 7 minutes here left in qualifying. Looking further back, Solberger currently in 14th. He's about to start his hot lap. He was looking actually pretty good in practice as well. He had a great run last week at Oshersleben. Tremendous battle near the end there with Eiran Parsons, Mike Monahan, among others.
Andres as well, yeah.
Andres, yep. Andres Prieto,
yeah, indeed. I mean,
who was filling in for Go ahead.
Yeah, was running as high as 5th there and finished 8th. After just a little mistake there at the end, but great run for John.
So looking at the top 5, Chris Moses has improved yet again to a 47 flat. So Chris really laying the hammer down here tonight. I spoke with Chris prior to tonight said that he can go really quick with the low downforce setup here in this car around Imola, but in the race, he that style of setup just does not work for him. So it should be interesting to see how he does in race trim, running a little more wing. I guess the tire wear is just too great with the low downforce setup.
Yeah, well, again, I'm sure we'll talk about it a bit. Chris Moses tied with Thiago Canola, but all those guys that have a shot, I think, are really trying to figure out strategies here to deal with this Thiago. Consistency and double stinting of tires he's made work so well. I think they've taken a closer look at how they can manage to pull off the same trick more often.
Great tricks back in 15th. Marco Conti back in 16th. Lambo doesn't look too bad over that chicane, but I know that car's been improved a little bit. It used to be really hairy on some of these bumps.
Yeah, it's still not going to be great, Al. But, you know, certainly manageable. It's just you have to really be careful with it when the tires get worn. It'll be kind of worse and worse lap to lap as the tires wear. So just have to stay on top of it, and you know, it'll be okay. You looked at Mike Grichuk's there in 15th, Al. He was actually looking pretty sharp in practice, and boy, 15th P15 at the moment. That's looking pretty good for Mike.
Yeah, Mike also filling in last week in GT1, scored some points at Okayama, so Mike doing pretty well for himself. John Houston back in 17th. We'll touch on the team championship in a moment. Johnny Lugnut's back in 18th. A little surprised to see Johnny this far back. Salem Montgomery Jr. back in 19th in the Jag. He's about to complete his hot lap here. He's a bit off here. He's 48 on the exit of that, so way off the base. I was surprised. Simon Gooden went back in 20th. Wow. Figured he'd be up at least in the top 15, but looks like he's struggling a little bit here tonight.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to hang around the paddock there in Imola this week, so I'm not sure who's been able to get a decent amount of laps in, but maybe those guys haven't gotten so many.
Kevin Miller in the Mustang. Mustang should do pretty well here. He's back in 21st, however. Excuse me. Greg Myers back in 22nd, but that's par for the course for Greg. He'll probably be in the top 10 by the end of the night. John Watson back in 23rd. And Drew Litke, Simon's teammate, back in 24th. Cup Douglas 25th. George Alba's back in 26th. Brian Story 27th. That's all the runners right now. We may see some more come in qualifying too. So we got 2 minutes left here as Chris Moses just started his hot lap. He's in P1. Have to keep an eye on him as Eiran Parsons has jumped into P2. He's on an out lap. Let's see if Chris can improve. Chris is 0.08 of a second off in Sector 1.
Yeah, it's a little late on my end seeing it, but I did see Chris had a pretty good slide there to start the second sector here. Could hurt him.
Yep. It's all a matter of how he gets through Variante Alta at chicane. He nails it. I mean, you can really make up a boatload of time if you nail that. And he has up nearly a half a second in Sector 2.
Yeah, that's more the kind of time I was expecting to see out of Chris. So let's see if he can hold it together.
Ooh, a little wide through Ravazza. That might cost him a little bit. But still, I think he's going to improve. I think he might have had a wheel on the grass there. To the final chicane. Drum roll, please. Bang, 46.8. Wow. Let's jump on board with Eiran Parsons as he goes through. He's just started his hot lap through Sector 1. Tamburello. Oh, sorry, he was in Villeneuve now through Tosa up to Piratella. I actually missed his sector time, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Eiran looking quite racy tonight, looking to make up for some of that Oosterschleiben mess last week, no doubt. Eiran, another one of those guys, really good around here.
Really good through the chicane. Ooh, a little bit of wheel spin. Oh, he's lost a bunch of time. He's back 6/10 here through Sector 2. Joe LaCour also just about to complete his hot lap. He's just ahead of Eiran. I'm sorry, he's just behind Eiran. His time has run out. This guy should be able to get this lap in. I don't think Eiran's going to improve. Oh, Ian with a huge slide. Eiran does not improve. Ian not going to improve. Alex White. Oh, jumps up to P4. Wow. Nick Johnson up to 7th. Ooh, and that's going to do it. So right at the wire there, Alex White out of nowhere with a 47.441 to snatch P4 away from David Rowley. Great time for Alex, wow. And he is carrying some weight. But the story for tonight, Chris Moses, this is huge in the championships. He's got that bonus point for pole.
Yep, just like that, the deadlock over second place overall in points has been decided. Chris Moses is there, picks up a point on the leader, and goes to second all by himself.
That really is a tremendous lap by Chris Esteban Palacio. Oh, there he is. I was wondering where Esty was.
Yeah, really, got a couple races left to go here, Al. This is going to be there's a lot on the line here tonight for these guys that expect to win this championship. There's going to be a lot of pressure on all of them to not only run fast, but to keep it clean.
Just to give you an idea of the time differential, when we raced here previously in Season 10, Brad Maris, yourself, had pole in the Mustang with a 48.4. So needless to say, these cars have gotten a little bit quicker around here. Chris Moses beats that time by it's about 2 seconds. So incredible lap. The top, let's see, the top 12. The 12th place car would have had pole back in Season 10.
Yeah, pretty remarkable. Of course, we're 7, 8 seasons on now. The car pack does get tweaked, and in general, the car packs have gotten a little bit faster season to season, just tiny increments as they try to get the cars a bit more balanced. But hey, good stuff. That's great, and Chris Moses sure showed what the current iteration of his wonderful car pack can do tonight, and good job on his pole.
While we wait, we're in Quali 2 here, just waiting for some guys to join up late. Quali 1, for those who don't know, is locked, and then we open Quali 2 to allow guys to join the session late. So those guys will not be able to set a time. They'll have to start from the back. So Esteban's going to have to start from the back, unfortunately. But while we have some time here before we head off to warm-up, should just touch really quickly on the championship standings. There we go. Oh, my laptop. Oh boy, here we go. Alright, so league leaders in GT2, Eiran Parsons currently leading the way with 138 points. And Chris Moses and Thiago Canola were tied with 130. However, with the bonus point, now Chris has sole possession of second place with 131. Nick Johnston in fourth with 127 points. He had a pretty disappointing race last week at Oschersleben. And David Paul with the win jumps up to P5 in the championship with 97 points. In the team championship, PMR, Precision Motor Racing, leading the way. That's Chris Moses and Gup Douglas with 162 points. Right behind is T-Brock Dam Bam. That's Eiran Parsons and John Houston. John Houston back in 19th. Let's see, Chris Moses' teammate, Gup Douglas, back at 25th. Adrenaline Taxi Service in third with 156 points. That's Thiago Canola, who's qualified 11th, and Greg Myers back in 21st. Misa Racing, that is Nick Johnston and Sam Rolfe. I do not see Sam in attendance tonight, so that's going to hurt their team championship hopes. And 05 Motorsport, David Poole and Sol Long Sol has been out the last few races, so hopefully he'll be back soon. But that's the rundown so far. But I'll tell you what, if PMR and T-Brock Dam Bam want to get some separation from Adrenaline Taxi Service and the other teams below, their teammates are going to have to step up here tonight and score some points.
You know, it's been a great championship, particularly on the team championship. We've been talking about it. The quote unquote B drivers have performed and then performed not so much, and then we've had some of the quote unquote B drivers perform when the other guys have made their mistakes. It's been fascinating, and somebody's made some mistakes. Well, the other guys have gotten the job done, and it's been back and forth. It's been great, and no less so on the driver's side. Just you could throw a blanket over the top four, and David Poole there in fifth is not out of it. So 3 races to go, and this is I think this is going to establish the front runner here for this season 18 championship tonight. A lot on the line.
Well, when I wrote the news story for today's race, obviously we still have to decide Imola, but there's no question in my mind that the championship isn't going to be decided until the final race at Spa. But you can look back at races like, the first race of the season, Road America. Sam Rolfe was incredibly quick there, and he failed to make the start, as did Nick Johnston. Both of them disconnected. Nick, by his own doing, crashed and wasn't able to score points. You look at Hockenheim. John Houston was running well in the top, I believe he was 6th, and he caught the tire barrier and exploded midway through the race. So the gap could have been a lot greater than it is now, but that's racing. That's the way things go.
Well, it's good news for us that these guys have experienced not only the glory but also the agony of defeat as well, because it's kept it very intriguing, and like you say, it is going to come right down to the wire. But I suspect maybe 1 or even 2 of these guys, if they have any problems here tonight and find themselves, God forbid, outside the points, or on the outside looking in. Tell you something else, Al, it's getting pretty dark out there, not too much time here left in warm-up. If it does start to rain, it could wash some of the groove off that track.
conditions right now show dry with a slight chance of showers, but I'll tell you what, the rain factor here, I don't think we've had a wet race ever at Imola. It doesn't really rain too much at this track. The chances are pretty low, but still, there's always that slim possibility that we can see some moisture.
Yeah, slim, like you say, but if it does rain in warm-up, it will take some of the groove away for the race. See some of these guys. Sorry, I see some of these guys getting really close to taking a little too much advantage on some of those curbs. As I watch the broadcast here, they're going to have to be careful about that. There will be a cut review for this race, so maximum of 4 cuts per corner. They find themselves over that, they're going to be losing some ground in the final standings.
Yeah, the white curb is considered the part of the track, so they got to keep at least one wheel inside of that. And on exit of Acqua Minerale, if they run wide, they're going to at least get one tire back onto the curb. So all that will be reviewed after the race this weekend, and or this week I should say. But I'm sure some of these guys will take advantage when they can. A lot of these guys know when they're on the limit.
Yes, that's true. You kind of know if you've at least come close a couple times and keep a mental tally. And you know, it's not uncommon for guys to take cuts, particularly at the chicane there. So there's kind of a certain amount you've got, and you want to save some in the bag just in case you might need them.
Well, I'll tell you what, this version of the track is a lot more lenient than the previous versions we've run. The race, race on version is no leeway there. But nonetheless, Brad, I don't know if you want me to just run down the grid, because I'm not sure if you can.
Yeah, you better.
Okay. All right. So on pole, Chris Moses, Eiran Parsons starting second, Ian Jolicoeur third, Alex White fourth, David Rowley fifth, Mikey Monahan sixth, Nick Johnston seventh, Kurt Chandler is going to start eighth, Dave Canavan ninth, David Poole 10th, Tiago Canola 11th, Christian Hamilton 12th, Marty Eiran starting 13th, John Solberger 14th, Marco Connie 15th, Mike Greatrick 16th, Salem Montgomery Jr. 17th, Johnny Lugnuts 18th, John Houston 19th, Simon Goodwin back at 20th, Greg Myers 21st, 22nd Kevin Miller, John Wathen 23rd, Drew Lidgia 24th, Gup Douglas 25th, George Alba is going to start 26th, Brian Story 27th, and bringing up the rear 29th, Esteban Palacio. So there you have it. What happened?
Well, this is going to be a good one, Al. Even some of the best drivers around here can get caught out on those worn tires, and it's not uncommon to see a small group out front break away, but those positions can swap in a hurry with small mistakes. We've seen it a lot around this track.
Well, who's your pick here tonight with 10 seconds to go, Brad?
Can't pick against Chris Moses in this one, Al.
I'm going to say Jolicoeur's going to sneak one out here tonight, but we'll see. And
oh, sexy pick.
It is. Green flag. And Eiran Parsons with a tremendous start. Going to take the lead from Moses. Moses hangs on to the position, and Ian Jolicoeur, gets by Eiran Parsons as well and takes second away from Eiran. So I'm not sure if Eiran had a little bit of a moment there, but Eiran all over the back of Jolicoeur gives him a tap, and a great save by Jolicoeur to hang on to that. Wow. Tremendous save. Now, really,
wow, indeed.
Yeah, take a look on the outside of Parsons. A little hectic lap here, opening lap for Parsons. traffic back from 12th on. More with Lidke. Chris continues to hang on to that position. Forward rally through the chicane for the first time.
Boy, they just get hopping around through there, don't they, Al?
Ooh, Alba with a little bit of a lurch, but hangs on to it. Gonna have a look on Alba going into Relaxa. Really clean first lap. I don't, looks like Lidke is gonna take that position away. Is it, ooh, a little bump there. Ooh, and Drew's gonna lose it. Into the wall for Drew, and George looks like he's okay.
Oh!
Marty has fallen back to 23rd. Not sure what happened to him. He's got a little bit of damage to the front of that Aston. Ooh, and Salem, he's missing his front clip. He may have to come in for service.
Yeah, tough break for Salem.
He's going to have to get that thing checked up. He does. Oh, Christian as well. And, unfortunate is he's back in 28. Oh, Mikey Monahan and Nick Johnson really going at it. Nick having a look on the outside. Oh, I should say, had to look for a second there, but not better of it. This is a pretty tight battle here for 5th.
Yeah, I see on the broadcast that Mike didn't give him a whole lot of room there, and Nick was forced to wait.
Still not, but tell you what, Nick, nice pass to get by Mike Johnston for 5th. Wow. Mike gave him just enough room to squeeze by there. You can tell he didn't want to give that up.
No.
So Nick already up to 5th and on a charge. Canavan 7th, Chandler 8th. Alex White's following back. Houston jumped up to 15th. He started 19th. He's right behind Marco Conti and Tiago Canola, who slipped back to 14th. Have to keep an eye. Let's follow Houston here. Let's see if he can get a toe off of Canola here down the straight and put him down another spot.
Yeah, well, Viper versus Porsche battle. This may not be much of a battle.
Yeah, it looks like the Viper's going to win. And Houston hangs on to it. Nice pass by John.
Yeah, I don't think there's any way Tiago does not double stint tires here as well, so the challenge for these guys, if they want to pick up points on them, is to make tracks if they plan on taking tires themselves and land down the law in some fast laps early.
Tell you what, Esteban Palacio, who started back in 29th, is up to 16th. His the front of that Mercedes is a little bit bruised. Ooh, and Poole and Solberger get into it. Not too sure what happened there. As Dave turns it around, looks like he's going to stay in it here, but saw a little bit of debris and just caught the end of that. Not sure if Dave just lost it or he got some help or what, but I don't think there was anything Solberg could do there. Dave's falling back to 22nd. Check the positions up front as Chris Moses has put some distance between himself and Ian. He's got about a 2 second lead and change. Ian's really under pressure now from Parsons.
Yeah, well, if Parsons does manage to get past Chris Moses, these two will be in a really familiar position at this track. Over the course of the years, they have run 1 and 2 and chasing each other around this place many, many times.
Kurt Chandler's jumped up to P8. Kurt does pretty well here at Imola, if I recall. And that looks like he's figured that Gumpert out. I was hearing him complaining a little bit about the car here, his tire situation, but looks like he's got a handle on it, I should say, so far early on in this race.
Yeah, talking to that team, you know, they even considered switching cars early in the season, but you know, overall, I think they're a bit happier than they were.
I'll tell you what, Johnny Lugnuts has moved up to P9, and he's got Alex White and Marco Conti all over the back of him.
Yeah, it looks like Alex White ran into some type of problem out there. Of course, he started well up on the grid.
I'll tell you what, the battle further back is pretty intense here. 9 through 17, they're really tight.
Yeah, and that's exactly why I mentioned, Al. It's not uncommon to see a small group out front break away and have quite a battle here for these other positions. That's exactly what we're seeing tonight.
Ooh, Alex with a bit of a lurch there, but hangs on to it. I should mention that this race should go about 33, 34 laps. Conti had a look on the inside of Alex White, and that was a little ambitious, I think, and Alex got caught out. He's fallen back to 18, so tough break for Alex. Not the season debut you would like here. Rude welcome.
Well, it's been a while since he's
rude welcome here.
Yeah,
it's
been a while since he's been in these GT cars, and but there's one thing for sure: he's got the pace. So if he works back in, gets comfortable, he certainly has the ability to pick up some more spots.
On board with Simon. Simon has moved up to 16th. He started back at 21st, I believe, somewhere around there. He's right behind Greg Myers, who was also in the 20s. He's running a couple points now. Like I mentioned, Greg will probably be in the top 10 by the end of the night. But looks like Tiago has gotten back past John Houston, so it looks like John might have made a little bit of a mistake there.
Yeah, looking at the broadcast, I noticed you scrolled through Esteban Palacio. It looked like he was up to 12th.
Yeah, Este having a great start here. Ian really looks like he's got his hands full with that Aston as he tries to hold off Eiran Parsons. But in doing so, Chris Moses has benefited the most as he's starting to move away from these guys.
Yeah, no question Eiran has pace on Ian, and it's probable these guys, we've seen it before from the Aston, having to loosen it up a little extra to make it around some of these corners. I think they may have had to go that route again.
Looks like that Aston is, as Ian runs a little wide, looks like that Aston is matching the pace of that Viper down the straight as Eiran. Got a bit of a toe on him, but couldn't make the pass out into that straight.
Yeah, indeed, Al.
Ooh, it's Nick Johnson. I knew these two were nose to tail, but looks like Nick made the move on Rally down the upper straight, and surprise, surprise, look who's found himself in the middle of this fight.
Yeah, and I could see, actually, Nick not too far off of Eiran's bumper as well, so if Nick has pace on Ian and Eiran can't get past, it's soon going to be a three-way battle for that second position.
Well, you can see, certainly, that he's got some great paces. He's already put about a second on Rally in half a lap, so he is flying, and, like you said, not far off of Eiran. Meanwhile, Dave Canavan back in 7th, pretty much on his own. He's got nobody around him for the time being. As is Kurt Chandler. So Kurt and Canavan under no pressure at this moment. And just running their race. But behind them, holy smokes, Palacio has now moved up to 9th. I don't know what he's got in that Mercedes, but he started back at 29 and is just laying it on. Man.
Yeah, indeed. That's the same thing I was seeing as well. So the Mercedes and Esteban, a good mix here tonight.
So this battle rages on here from 9th back to 16th. And Alex White back at 17th, not too far off these guys. John Waffen's
John Solberger.
Marty 19th. Yeah, Solberger running at 12th. He's right behind Marco Connie. He's got a little, well, he had that incident with Poole, but...
Yeah, well, I was going to say, Al, coming off a great result last week in a car that most people were down on in that Camaro. I see we have some action going on there.
No, that's fine. It's Tiago. He got past Houston, but looks like Houston powered back by him, and man, that's going to be frustrating for him. As the two Porsches, the two ATS Porsches, are running 13th and 14th at the moment. Johnny Lugnut's still running in 9th. He's given up that position to Palacio, but still running a great race here. Great to see Johnny up in the top 10.
Yeah, and he's had to climb up through the field a little bit, had a disappointing qualifying result, and at this point, that Lambo and some of these other guys here closing in toward the end of this stint, that tire wear is going to be starting to struggle a little bit. That's what these guys are going to have to start watching for.
Wow, these guys going side by side through Ravazza. Man, these, well, you can really tell that the Porsches are struggling through these high-speed sections. They can't match the pace of these 4 cars up ahead, 5 cars up ahead.
Al, I think John Houston may pull off a double pass here. I just feel it coming.
Well, we're watching them. Not gonna happen. Maybe next lap.
Yeah, what a great battle. It's these guys are doing a great job running so close to each other on a very difficult track to do so, and putting in a great effort.
Looks like Houston's got a run on Solberger here, heading into Peralta, I think it's called. Oh, and he's going to make the pass, so nice job by Houston, up to P11. Now he's got Marco Connie and Lugnut's in his sights as Connie locks up the brakes. Ooh, Houston with a huge slide through Aquaminarelli, hangs on to it. Man, they are on it. I swear, I think every race we've seen Houston, he's missed the headlight. He's been missing the headlight. But he's gonna, looks like he's gonna be making a pass on Connie now, heading into Ravazza, and he does. Wow. Didn't even have to pass him into the corner, so he's on a charge as well.
This is great news for this team, Al. After all, it's just points off of Precision Motor Racing there. You know, as they run on track, TBROK Dam Bam will take over that points lead.
And I'll tell you what, it looks like he's going to do the same to Johnny here. Johnny, a little slow on exit. That's going to allow Houston make the move. He takes a look on the inside. Oh, Johnny squeezing him a little bit. Johnny hangs on to it, and Houston manages to to make the corner. Wow. Johnny not giving him much room.
Yeah, this Viper is going to be much more consistent than the cars that are around him, for sure, particularly the Lambos over the course of a stint.
Ooh, and Johnny goes off and Hank saves it. I believe that's the corner center went off at. Marco survived that one. Wow, that could have been nasty. And I don't think he lost. Well, no, he didn't lose a position there at all. I don't know if he might have got a black flag. We'll have to wait and see if he got a cup penalty for that. He managed to stay off the sand. That was amazing. Hopefully for his sake, he didn't get a penalty. Let's check the guys up front. This action back here has been amazing. But Chris Moses continues to lead the way. He's got 6 seconds now over Eiran Parsons, who's gotten past Ian Jolicoeur, and look who's looming right behind, Nick Johnston. Jolicoeur, it looks like he's made some kind of mistake, as he's back and forth. I'm sorry, he's putting Grachik's a lap down. I thought that was Kurt. But Jolicoeur back and forth, so I'm not sure if Ian went off, but finds himself back.
Well, we saw Ian. Yeah, we saw Ian struggling with that Aston, and any one of these curbs is a prime candidate for making a mistake.
I think we might have lost Canavan. Canavan out of the race. Not sure what happened to Dave. See if we can find out here.
Well, while I was checking on that, that'll dash Canavan slim hopes for getting himself back into this championship. That should just about do it for him, unfortunately.
Dave Canavan, do you copy? Not sure if he's there. Canavan, do you copy? Well, we'll have to catch up with him later. But yeah.
Yeah, he might be grabbing an ice cold adult beverage out there, Al. Crying in it a little bit. Yep.
Kicking the dog, something like that. Meanwhile, Nick Johnston, like we mentioned, up into third spot. Well, the deal for Nick here is he needs to get by Parsons. He needs to finish ahead of him. Actually, he needs to win this race, but if he wants to gain, as many points as he can, obviously. But Eiran is in the lead, and he's going to want to finish ahead of him to take away any advantage Eiran has leading up to spot. I mean, the race is still young here. Currently working lap 10. But Nick certainly has to somehow manage to get by Parsons. And once he does that, then he can set his sights on Moses.
Yeah, Nick can hang close and not lose too much ground. Of course, that the win is the big deal. That gets you an extra 4 points over second place, and then the points go back 2 points down from that. So losing out on a couple points as they run on track at the moment, not so bad. But yeah, absolutely, all these guys, they want to finish ahead of Eiran, and they're going to have to. Aaron's pretty much the king of Spa at the moment, and that's where they're going to next.
So, meanwhile, going through the field here, Mikey Monahan, currently in 5th. He's kind of, he's got Rally not too far behind him, but pretty quiet race for Mike. Rally now getting by one of, looks like Great Tricks, running in 6th. We lost somebody else. I suspect that was Watson. Now, Kurt Chandler, again, still on his own. He's up to 7th due to Canavan's misfortunes. And Palacio now running in 8th. Looks like he's starting to reel in Curtis, so tell you what, SD could find himself in the top 5 by the end of the night, which would be amazing.
Yeah, and he's doing that with a pretty significant amount of damage to the bonnet there as well, Al, so that's got to be hurting his lap times. Damage will affect you pretty harshly around this circuit.
So meanwhile, John Houston has gone by Johnny. Johnny now up to 10th, back to 10th, I should say, sorry. And this battle has been going on all night. The two Lambos, Johnny Lugnuts and Marco Connie, who's back in 11th. Connie had a very scary moment and managed to avoid hitting a wall.
Yeah,
that was pretty crazy.
Yeah, and didn't pick up that black flag, it doesn't look like either, Al.
Nope, so it looks like he's good, but behind them is Tiago and Greg Myers running lockstep there, 12th and 13th. Greg not going to do anything silly here and try and pass his teammates or anything like that. He understands what's going on here, and he's going to do whatever he can to help his teammates' chances, as well as his team's chances here. But behind him, Simon Goodwin and Marty Eiran is now moved into the points, running in 15th. This is all over the back of Simon. This is going to be interesting. Marty gets into the back of Simon. Wow, he could have just hung on to that position. Looks like Marty's going to wait for him. But he's got Solberger now. Marty's back on it, so that was unfortunate there. Looks like he made a last split-second decision there to be like the wrong one, and got into the back of Simon. It's a tough break. Those guys were having a great fight. And David Pohl.
That's such a tough braking zone going down into there, Al. It's one that's very difficult to make just on your own, let alone trying to pass for position there. And both those guys had speed on the Porsches in front, so a really tough break for both those guys.
Well, I'll tell you what, Esteban Palacio was on the jacks in the pit lane, pitting early here. We got 25 minutes in, so he's looking to pit early here, try and get up into some open track and really lay down some times when he gets out of here.
Yeah, great idea. Yeah, great idea, particularly with the damage he's got to the front of that car. Come in as soon as his pit window opens, get that damage fixed, and get after it.
So Kurt Chandler still out in the 7th spot. Houston now moves up to 8th. Now Connie feeling the heat from Tiago Canola. This heat's been on since the drop of the green flag. Ooh, Johnny! Oh, big slide there going through Variante Alta. And that allows Marco and Tiago to get by. Wow.
I suspect those Lamborghinis now are just on a razor's edge over that chicane now. They'll be looking to get in as soon as they can and get some new shoes on those things.
Well, it certainly did look hairy there for Johnny. Didn't lose too much time, and he may be able to get a run on Tiago here by the end of the street. I don't think he's quite close enough. A lot of tire smoke from Conti. Tiago now up to 10th. He's all over the back of Marco.
Really interesting to. Yeah, really interesting to see what's going to happen during stops here as well, and I'm wondering about that Nick Johnson versus Chris Moses battle on time on track, and what kind of lap times those guys are turning relative to each other.
Well, the gap between Parsons and Johnson is a second. Moses had just over 6-second lead over Parsons, but that's now dropped down to about 5 and change. was starting to open up for these guys.
Yeah, I was seeing Nick kind of slash through this field and was wondering if he might not even have pace on Chris Moses, given how quickly he caught up there in Parsons. So, you know, we'll see if Nick can actually pull off a good pit stop in this race. We haven't seen one yet. See if he can get in and out of there in smart fashion and maybe try to challenge for the win here.
I'll tell you what, Nick's both Eiran and Moses lapping in the 49s their last laps. Nick Johnson, the only guy lapping in the 48s.
Yeah, I thought that might be the case.
So this is going to come down to pit strategy here for Nick. We saw a bunch of smoke here. I thought Chris might have lost it. But as I was going to say, looks like it's going to come down to pit strategy here. Especially for Nick, as we've seen, these last few races, he's obviously figured out the whole pit stop, but unlike earlier in the season where he was really struggling in the pit lane, it's going to be about who can get in and out the quickest. And this is this is going to be Nick's biggest pit stop of the season, no doubt about it.
Yeah, and I got to put on my objective hat here as much as I can here in the booth and say that Nick's improved. But you know what? He's not great, and and so he is going to have to get a good one here tonight.
Again, another 48 for Nick. Ooh, he's really all over the back. It looks like he might take a look at Eiran. I'll tell you what, if he were to get by him, I know it's where we're entering that pit window, but he'd probably drive away from Parsons and definitely challenge Moses for that win, or for the lead, I should say.
Yeah, you know, I think Nick definitely does have pace on Eiran, but a couple things. Eiran could be holding off pace a little bit, looking to double stint tires. Yeah,
we had a big lock up there from Nick. Back on it.
Yeah, to finish up that thought real quick, yeah, Eiran maybe double stinting tires is a possibility. Nick maybe too. So it's hard to say, but he really needed to get by a couple laps earlier and get a little bit of distance because Eiran is so good on his stops.
Man, I'll tell you what, that Panos looks so good through that chicane. I mean, you see.
Yes, it is.
Even Parsons, he looks like he has his hands full when he goes through there, but Nick, it just seems so smooth and effortless through that part of the track.
Yeah, the Panos and the Viper will be two of the better cars over that chicane.
Parsons into the pit lane. Nick Johnston assumes the lead. Chris Moses,
yeah, I tell you,
Chris Moses has pitted. We're going to have to keep an eye on Chris.
Yeah, of course, I don't have timing and scoring in front of me, but only falling back to ninth, I have to think Chris is taking a chance and double stinting those tires, Al.
Nick stayed out. See if Parsons gets on the jacks. His motor's on. Parsons took tires and he's away.
Interesting.
So there's a lot of these guys now. Mikey Monahan taking tires as well.
Yeah, we'll have to take a look at that Chris Moses, Eiran Parsons gap, and then we'll know for sure.
So Parsons rejoins in third. You know what? I think Chris might have had a...
Yeah, you could look at the lap times, Moses' lap times, and see.
Well, Chris Moses is back in fifth. I think he might have had an incident with... I'm not sure what the hell's going on on here? Chris Pitt was a 243. Parsons was a 236.
Aha.
So what does that tell you, Brad? Nick into the pit
Well,
lane.
that tells me that Chris had some problem on his stop, and or Aaron Parsons might only have taken one set of tires, either front or rears, is a possibility.
Johnston on the jacks. He's got the first pit bay. On the exit of Ravazza.
Very interesting. I can just about guarantee you Tiago's going to double stint here tonight. So, which means he probably won't now that I've said it. So I'm sure by now these guys have been watching very closely the gaps to Tiago. So if they're taking tires, I would think, if it was me, I would certainly know that I have the pace on Tiago in and out of the pits.
Chris Moses now up to second, so Chris did take tires. Sorry for the confusion there. Nick now comes out. And
I still think it's a possibility.
third.
Yeah, I still think it's a possibility, Al, that Eiran might have taken only one set of tires, front or rears.
I think you're right there, because I saw the car did, you know, look like it was on the jacks and dropped down. So
Yeah, I agree.
I believe you're right. So the gap now for Parsons over Moses is 3 seconds, and he's got 9 seconds over Nick Johnson. But Nick is, like we said, he's incredibly quick. Chris Moses does have fast lap of the race with the 47.9, but we'll have to keep an eye on that.
Yeah, very intriguing. I suspect Nick has pace on, well, we know he probably has pace on Aaron Parsons, and it seems like he might have pace on Chris Moses too. So it's going to be very intriguing coming down. I tell you something else, Chris Moses may not have gotten quite the most laps led of this race yet. Which of course would yield a extra bonus point, yeah.
So we got working lap 17 with 35 minutes, 36 minutes into this. So I think he may, I don't know, he might have it.
It's close.
So it's going to be very
Yeah, it's close.
But the gap now, Parsons over Moses, it was over 3 seconds. It's dropping down now to 2 and change. So Chris is on it. Marco Conti has stayed out. He's running P3 right now with Nick Johnson right behind. Tiago Canola up to 5th. We know he hasn't pitted yet. And Greg Myers now into the top 10. He's running in 6th, right behind his teammate. Joe LaCour.
Yeah, very intriguing.
Go ahead. Oh, yeah, but Joe LaCour has, he's pitted, he's running in 7th, and we know he's quick, and he should catch those 2 Porsches relatively quickly.
Yeah, I would think so. I was just going to say that I kind of wish I had timing and scoring up in front of me to kind of see what's going on. I'm really interested to see what's going to happen here as this pit stop rotation plays out.
Cup Douglas now up to P11. Kurt Chandler is back in 10th. Kurt's pitted. We still have a few guys yet to cycle through here, through the pits. Esteban now running in 12th. We know he pitted early. He was the first one to jump into the pit lane. And Houston now running in 13th. David Poole up to 14th. Nuts back in 15th. Marty and Solberger 16th and 17th. Goodwin, followed by Hamilton. Kevin Miller back in 20th. We haven't talked too much about Kevin, but he's kind of languishing back there in 20th. Had a good run going for him at Osher Schlieven last week. His teammates right behind in 21st. And George Alba back in 22nd. And Sale Montgomery still hasn't recovered from his first lap ordeal. He's back in 23rd. And Greatrix running in 24th. Not sure what happened at Greatrix. He had a really good qualifying run, but finds himself back in 24th.
Yeah, I actually saw him a lap down relatively early one time he had gone to timing and scoring, so you may have gotten involved in an early incident.
So, right now the battle we need to watch is Moses on Parsons. The gap now is down to 2 flat. So, either Parsons... like you mentioned, I think you're onto something. I think Parsons probably did only take 1 set of tires, and that's a gamble he was willing to take.
Yeah, and I tell you something else. I was thinking about that most laps led, Al, and I don't know that any of this was going on, but I was thinking it would be extremely cagey if Eiran knew that Chris hadn't quite gotten that most laps led to dive in and take only 1 set of tires to try to keep Chris from taking those laps. Couldn't imagine that's really the case, but that would be a really tricky thing to do.
As Parsons comes up on some lap traffic, and now Moses is all over the... Ooh, and Moses has a huge lurch on exit. That's cost him a little bit of time. He probably would have had a run on him going into turn 1. Nick Johnson has dropped back a little bit. Finally got Marco Conti to go into the pit lane, but Nick is now 10 seconds off of these guys up front.
Well, I saw Eiran. I saw Eiran there did improve his sector time, so it'd be tough to do if it only took 1 set of tires, front or rear. So not sure exactly what's going on.
Ooh, he got some damaged goods. As one of the Ferraris was off, and we saw it looks like a rear wing or a front clip. I believe that was Christian Hamilton. Bit of a yard sale. So Chris has dropped back a little bit. I believe that.
Yeah, I was thinking he might have been looking to negotiate on those parts maybe, and forgot that he was driving.
That's exactly what happened. Kind of caught him off guard. As we see now, Christian limping, trying to get back in the pit lane. So after pit stops, David Rowley with a good stop. He managed to leapfrog ahead of Mikey Monahan. So Mikey was ahead of David going into the stops. So Mikey, kind of a long stop in comparison to Rowley. Either that or he made a mistake that we didn't see. Kurt, I'm surprised he hasn't fallen asleep behind that wheel yet. He's been all alone all night. He's running there at night, nobody in sight.
Well, sometimes that's okay, you settle into your own race and take some of the heat off you and go ahead and just put in a solid drive, well inside the top 10. So
keeping an eye on Gup Douglas here. It doesn't look like he has pitted yet. So he still needs to make a stop. He may be doing the old Thiago Canola strategy here, double stinting and pitting late. Gup is really good on fuel conservation, so should have to keep an eye on him.
Yep, and tires as well. So Gup a good candidate for that double stint strategy.
Palacio and John Houston now running 11th and 12th. after those pit stops, it kind of spread some of these guys out a little bit. Poole. He's really on a tear. He's up to 13th. He was caught out early on in this one and fell back to 21st, I believe. But back on it, into the points, so good showing for Dave. Nuts 14th. He's got Marty, Marco Connie, and Solberg right behind. So it looks like Hamilton's got his Ferrari repaired. He's back on track. And Simon Goodwin, he's back in 18th. He looks like he's struggling to find his rhythm here after getting knocked off the track by Marty. As the 2 leaders go by, put him a lap down. Yeah, and he's doing some more off-track adventures.
Agricultural racing now.
Yep. Two Mustang teammates, Story and Miller, continue 19th and 20th, and Alba back in 21.
Yeah, Kevin Miller not quite up to pace as we've seen him here in recent weeks.
So Parsons now has dipped back into the 48s. He just set his best lap of the race with a 48.569. Johnston also in the 48s, but just not able to match, just a couple tenths off of these guys up front. So Nick looks like he's pretty good late, so we'll have to keep an eye on him as the race winds down here, because he was still running in the 48s late in that first stint while these guys were back in the 49s.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. For whatever reason, it looks like Chris Moses had a slow stop. I can't imagine Eiran didn't take 4 tires all the way around and still be able to hold those type of lap times. One thing we know for sure is that if these guys keep it on track, Thiago Canola will not win this race. So
he's right along on board with Chris. Really see Chris trying to pushing that car as hard as he can. He's got about a gap's about a second.
yeah, 2 extremely experienced, strong-willed competitors who know and love the track extremely well. They find themselves in this position quite a bit. I've been fortunate enough to be able to drive around in myself occasionally at this track under these conditions. Heck of a time these guys are battling out there.
Yeah, so I'm kind of surprised to see Nick not able to make up some ground on those two. I thought, you know, with the clear track, he'd start to reel those guys in, but that gap really hasn't changed. It's been around 10 seconds since Marco pitted from in front of him, and it's remained. I mean,
Nick's a great.
It's very consistent, but just not able to catch up to those guys.
Yeah, Nick's a great driver, and make no mistake about it, put in some great results, has great speed, but let's not forget these veterans. And after pit stops, knowing what's on the line and knowing this track as well as they do, I mentioned it a bunch, but there's a reason these guys have won so many events and so many championships. They have turned up the wick on each other, and they are pushing to the absolute limit right now, and I think it's going to stay that way till the end of the race.
Ooh, Ian! Oh my goodness. I don't know how he did not hit that wall. I was just going to talk about him being 19 seconds back. He's lost a little bit of time. But, man, he had a big moment on exit and the rear of that Aston. I don't know. I mean, that was...
Looks like low downforce to me.
Yeah, that was very close to hitting that tire barrier. Holy smokes. Oh, good job by Ian to say that. Now Moses is all over the back of Parsons. So Moses can keep it tidy here through the exit of this upcoming chicane. Let's see if he can get a toe. That B6 is fast down the straights, but so is the Viper. Ooh, Moses really up close. Really got to the back of Parsons there. But still not able to close that gap on exit.
Having experienced personal anecdote, trying to get Eiran to make a mistake by putting a lot of pressure, even intentionally locking up behind him, just doesn't work. Pretty unflappable.
Well, I think by this point he knows that the guys behind him aren't gonna do anything like that to take him out, so he's not gonna flap. Part anyway. Some guys, they may give him a tap here and there, let him know they're around. But, I'll tell you what, where Chris is making up. Chris, I should say, is gaining ground on Eiran is Groove area. Not so much there. He's dropped back a little bit more. Now the gap is almost back up to 2 seconds. So he was under a second a lap ago, and now he's falling back. So
yeah, well, Chris. Certainly not being too kind on his tires, that's for sure. He's pushing as hard as he can.
And the track conditions are ideal. I mean, they're 79-degree track temp, 58-degree ambient, so this guy shouldn't be suffering too bad.
It'll be really interesting to hear exactly what happened on that Moses pit stop. Caused him to lose that time.
So Nick is now losing time to the guys up front. He's back now 12 seconds. He must be banging his head off the dashboard wondering, how are these guys so much faster than me in the pits? Up further back, Rally, Monahan, Tiago continue to run. Greg Myers back in 8th. Looks like Greg's got some damage to the front of that Porsche. Now I was wondering, he was right behind his teammate, and man, that right front is completely deformed. So he got into it with somebody. Ooh, and the right door, right side, the passenger side door. That thing is beat.
Yeah, it looks like contact with something pretty darn solid out there, like a Armco or barrier of some type.
Well, that's unlike Greg to just have it off like that, but who knows? Unfortunately, we missed that. Kurt still out there by himself. And Esteban, who started back at 28th, was up to 6th. Pitted early, now finds himself back at 10th. What do you think happened here, Brad? Think he pitted
well,
too
I'm
early?
not sure. Yeah, no, I'm not sure. You know, we still have the Porsches to make a stop. It's a very short pit lane, so I'm not sure what the gap is to those Porsches. But Esteban actually may still be in that 8th spot, depending on how much time he has to the Porsche gap in front.
Well, it's about 28 seconds, so pretty short pit lane at Imola, so that's going to be really close.
Yeah, touch and go. I think the Porsches still have advantage, but well, the damage is still on Esteban's car, I see. So that's interesting.
Yeah, he didn't get that repaired. It looks like.
either that or he's picked up some more, one of the two. So that could be why he's lagging behind a little bit.
We'll find out right now. Tiago into the pit lane. Man, it looks like I'm not sure what happened there. But
yeah, one of the Gumperts in as well, I see on the broadcast.
I'm not sure what happened. I think Tiago might have had an off as Greg was in the pit before him. Greg is away. And Tiago, wow, really fast pit stop. Definitely gas and go. And he's away. But he rejoins back at 12th. So something interesting happened there. I'm not sure. Tiago must have had some kind of trouble. And as Greg is now ahead of him, Marco got by. David Poole now up to 10th. And Poole is now trying to run down John Houston. Let's watch these guys as they go at it.
Yeah, John Houston's been putting in a solid effort here tonight. Up to 9th, though being put pressure on, John Houston's done a great job for that team.
Oh, Houston with a huge slide as Poole gets. Well, that was. I mean, that's a tough deal for Poole, but that was a great gesture by David to give him, let him hang on to that. But you know, that was on John. I mean, there was really not much David could do there to not get into him. That's a very fast corner, and Houston really lost the rear of that. Viper.
Yeah, well, I think Poole realizes that the gap in front is a little too large to be managed, so no reason not to go ahead and give a little extra room there. I mean, go ahead and hold up a little bit to just in case he felt that he might have had some misdoings. Yeah, well, there's no question going back to the Gregory Myers, Tiago Canola. Tiago does look like he had some type of problem out there, but, you know, they just didn't have the speed from the start of the green flag. It definitely looked like the Tiago strategy is not going to work quite as well here tonight. And, you know, it didn't, but he's still going to be in the thick of this thing, assuming they finish it off. So, on to next week for those guys.
So, meanwhile, Marco Carney and John Solberger running nose to tail, and right behind those guys we got Eiran Parsons and Chris Moses. Chris having a look on Parsons going into 1. Chris with a huge slide, so these guys are really nestled up tight.
Boy, these guys, they want to finish ahead of each other. This is coming down to the end of the season, Al.
This is going to be interesting. We got some lap traffic up ahead, and these guys got their own battle going on. But Solberger does the right thing, lets them by. We have Marco Carney now up ahead to deal with. We got about 5 minutes left in this one.
Well, Al, we saw a 6-second gap, something happened there with Moses on that stop, or just before it, and well, here you go. Could end up costing him the win. A short 6 seconds.
Now Moses lost a bit of time through that. Ooh, and Moses gets into the back of Conti. I'm not sure what that was all about, as Moses now has some huge amount of damage to the front of that BMW. Wow, that was
incredibly tough braking zone there, Al. Incredibly tough. Some guys you just have to brake way early. It obviously caught Chris Moses out. Just totally caught him out.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there. Obviously I think that's the case, but I'm not sure if Marco might have changed his line at the last second and caught Chris out or what. But wow, that could have obviously it was devastating for Conti. He's probably done, but.
It's really unfortunate. I think for sure Chris was thinking that Marco was going to hold that line to the inside and let Chris through as well on that same corner. But yeah, some difference in big braking zone speed there really hurt both those guys.
Well, Conti's still on track back in 16, so he's still going here. But wow, we're going to have to see how that damage to the front of that BMW affects Chris. What we saw last week, he could drive that thing without a front clip without losing much time. And now he's really pushing these. You can see he's really pushing, runs right wide on exit of Variante Alta there. Wow, dramatic turn of events here.
Yeah, indeed.
Lap 30, we got 4 to go. 4 laps. Actually, no, this is probably going to go 31 to 32. Got about a minute left. Wow. No, the only good thing for Chris in that situation is he didn't lose really that much time to Parsons. It could have been a heck of a lot worse. He could have found himself out in the sand, and God knows where he'd come out. Oh,
yeah, that is really unfortunate, but yep.
Parsons with a big slide there. The time, we got about 30 seconds left. I'm going based on the live timing here. We could possibly go one more lap, but I don't think Chris is gonna do it. He can't get close enough. I mean, he had some looks, but just especially at the exit of the final chicane there, he just could never get really close enough to get a draft on Parsons down the main straight.
Yeah, well, what a coup for Eiran should he happen to hold on here. Looking kind of slow in that first stint, having some problems. Nick running him down, and here he has a chance to extend his points lead going into a couple of our final events. Wow.
Final chicane, is this going to be it? No. We got at least one more lap. Chris now. Inching closer. Wow, he's really close to Parsons now. He had a really nice through that chicane. I'm amazed Chris can keep the car on track with the way that thing is damaged. Oh, Parsons with got a little bit of got his rear tire on the grass there on exit. Had a bit of a moment, but Chris couldn't really capitalize.
Yeah, Chris actually kind of followed him a little bit there.
Yeah, he did.
Well, this is going to be all or nothing over this chicane, Al.
Yeah, exactly.
Particularly for Chris.
For Chris, exactly. I was just going to say that. Yeah, we got a lap car up ahead.
It's possible these guys are getting low on cuts too, so you never know. It could factor in. These will be reviewed after the race.
Chris is very close, but just not close enough, I don't think. We got one of the Porsches, one of the ATS Porsches up ahead. This could be interesting. Now,
Boy, I hope we get another 5 laps or so, Al. This can't be the last one.
Oh, we got another lap. Oh, no, that's it. That's the race. Parsons takes it. Wow. Moses second. What an incredible finish.
Yeah, an amazing drive by those guys.
And Johnson, I'm sure he's happy to walk away with third and still in this fight. Joe LaCour will finish fourth. What a great race. Dave Rowley sets his alarm clock to wake up. He's in the UK and he woke up to a nice 5th place finish here tonight. Mike Monahan
nice
6th.
drive.
And meanwhile, Kurt Chandler, this race ain't over for these guys as Kurt and Palacio. Palacio has caught up to Kurt, but Palacio with a huge slide. Kurt, he's awake now after being alone most of this race. He's got Palacio all over the back of him. Let's see how he handles this final chicane. Oh, Kurt!
That Mercedes gonna...
Oh, and Palacio spins it. And wow. Kurt's going to hang on to that 7th spot, and Palacio will take 8th.
Well, final corner, do or die. You got to try it.
Yeah, and he tried. John Houston, great run for him in the top 10. He's going to finish 9th. David Poole fends off Greg Myers for 10th. Great finish for Dave as well for Greg Myers. Canola's going to finish 12th. Not sure what Canola's doing here. Oh, that's it. I think Canola was a lap down. So, that's your lead lap, guys. So, wow, what a finish here at Imola. We're definitely going to have to talk with Parsons now to see what he did there in his pit stop, because that was truly a coup if he had that in mind with the lead lap point, like you mentioned. Hey, Aaron, it's Al and Brad in the broadcast. Do you copy?
Hey, Al, how's it going?
Great, tremendous finish. Tremendous race by you guys tonight. Both you and Chris put on a great show there at the end. Also, Nick Johnson there gave you some heat there in the first stint. Tell us what you did in your pit stop, because you did you take tires or did you take one set of tires? What did you do?
I had an absolute killer pit stop, as you probably noticed. I took barely enough fuel, and I completely nailed the pit entry and pulling into my pit box, and they just fueled the car up really quickly that way. And I crossed the finish line with 0.5 litres in the tank. So
Wow.
I just barely had enough fuel.
So you did take a full set of tires then?
Yeah, I had to.
Wow, that was unbelievable. Well, you were losing quite a bit of time there to Nick there at the end of the first. Were you worried about letting him get past, or were you going to put up much of a fight if he tried to make a move? What were your thoughts there?
Yeah, I really didn't want him to get past, because I was thinking I was probably going to pit earlier than him. And there's the pit entry here is at the final chicane there, and if someone's in front of you, you can't enter the pit lane at full speed. So that was lucky that he didn't quite get past me there, and I was able to really go into pit lane at full speed, and I think that helped me get in front of Chris on the pit stop.
Yeah, well, I'm a little curious, Aaron, about what you truly thought your chances were at this race, particularly in qualifying. Looked like you're lagging behind a little bit there. Coming out the points lead and now actually finding yourself with the win and extending that lead here tonight. Did you think that was a possibility for you?
I knew from practice without my weight ballast, my success ballast, that the car was extremely good, extremely fast at this track. The only question was how badly the weight would affect me, and it did cost me quite a lot of time per lap, the weight, but it seemed like it was just enough to be able to get the win.
Well, you're going to be carrying that success ballast going into Spa for the Super Pole and the 2-hour finale race. What is your game plan going into that event with all that weight?
Well, I'll have to do the maths before the race and try and figure out the possible scenarios and basically finish where I need to, I guess. It's, with 60 kilos on board, it's probably unlikely I'll be going for the win, so I'll just be trying to finish where I need to.
Well, Aaron, I want to congratulate you again on a terrific win and a tremendous pit stop. That was you had us wondering what you were doing there, but come to find out it was just a great stop. So good on you, and good luck next week at Spa. We'll be rooting for you.
Thanks, Al. Thanks, Brad. Thanks for doing the broadcast.
Yep, congrats.
So there you have it, Brad. Another great finish here, another great race overall here tonight at Imola. And just want to let everybody know next week we'll be at Spa, like we mentioned, for Super Pole. That will be a single lap qualifying followed by a 30-minute qualifying race. And then the following week will be the 2-hour finale at Spa. I will not be here doing the race next week. Brad will be bringing you all the action. Brad, I hope
love the Super Pole, Al.
Brad, I hope you can convince somebody to join you, like Rich Roman, or Rich does a very good job as well, filling in when either of us aren't around. So hopefully he can step up and help you out there. But if not, good luck next week. And thanks for jumping on. I appreciate it.
No problem, Al. Happy to.
And thanks for everybody who tuned in. And we'll see you all next week from Spa.